My dad loves to dip. He loves to sop. He loves just dipping his bread into whatever he can dip it into. He loves cheese. He thinks everything is spicy. He really introduced me to food. He has a very complicated palate to pin down. We can both have the same thing and have very different experiences.
Chef's Table Talks. David Gelb here with my dear friend, Max Winkler. Max is a big part of my origin story and my journey since I came to Los Angeles. Max kind of set me up here.
Yeah.
He took me in. My entire social circle, my love of high-end sushi, a lot of it comes from you.
I'm really proud to be the Uncle Ben to your story.
Max is an excellent director. We went to film school together. Max and I have co-directed a short film that, I'm going to check with him if we can talk about it.
Yeah, of course we can.
Max is a director of many things, feature films, television, most recently the smash hit Love Story on FX.
Yes.
How's that going for you?
I'd been involved in a lot of things that people would say, people would be like, congratulations, like this one's, and I always never really felt like a hit. But everyone told me it was a hit, but I think they were lying. And then I experienced this, which I think certainly is a hit, and it feels different.
Objectively, by all measures.
Yes, it has been a very humbling experience of doing this job for 20 years and having nothing close to finally have something where you're not like trying to convince somebody to sign up for a membership to Paramount Plus so they can see your movie that came out over COVID in drive-in movie theaters.
The lesson is never give up.
Yeah. The lesson is
relentlessly never give up.
Yes, but it's complicated because you're not able to fully enjoy the hit because you're aware of how fleeting it is, and you can already feel that it's kind of going away. So I'm handling it in a very Semitic way. Cautious optimism.
Good.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. I talk often about when you took me to Nozawa, which was the founder of Sugarfish and known as, the sushi chef who would kick everybody out of restaurants. The sushi Nazi, named for the soup Nazi in Seinfeld.
And Jiro was originally going to be about Nozawa.
He was one of a number.
Yasuda.
There was going to be 4 chefs. That's right.
Nozawa, Yasuda.
But when I met Jiro, then Jiro requires exclusivity, and his was he's the true sushi kama.
And what a like a kind of sliding doors moment. It changed your life. And I will like to say, like, as part of our origin story, like you and I could say we're probably close to universally disliked by the staff at the USC Film School. I think they found us arrogant. I know Michael Uno loved you. I had a guy named Everett Lewis, who was kind of like a queer cinema director, who I think really saw something in me. But I never got confidence or support, I felt like, from those teachers. And I felt like you and I were working out things with our dads and figuring out what we wanted to make movies about. And we found sort of kinship in each other, kind of in like a Spider-Man and Venom type kind of situation.
Absolutely.
And I think we sniffed talent on the other one and blind ambition on the other one, which maybe we didn't feel from anyone else.
Right.
You and I would miss class. We would smoke a lot of weed. This was when I still smoked pot, and you actually. And we would go to Little Tokyo and get shabu shabu and wait in line for hours upon hours upon hours to have like what was probably the greatest taste I'd ever had in my life. And then we would also I took you to Nozawa, and we would spend money that we didn't have and max out our credit cards on sushi and Asian food.
Right.
And then we're very surprised when neither of us were picked to make a thesis film from the USC Film School.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was a certain sense of entitlement that we carried with us.
100%. I think that would be safe to say was true.
Yeah. And just, the father, my dad is the general manager of the Metropolitan Opera. Max's dad is Henry Winkler, the most beloved man
Yeah.
in media.
Yes.
And we both were kind of like carrying a little bit of like, yes, we are that next generation, but also while feeling sorry for ourselves
Very
consistently
much.
throughout
Yes.
it. The sliding doors thing is really interesting because if you recall, when you took me to Nozawa the first time, we were denied entrance to the restaurant
Yes.
by a smiling Nozawa who was
Yes.
smoking a cigarette outside.
Yes.
And I remember you saying you asked like, "Oh, Nozawa-san, too," and he's like, "No, we're closing early," or something like that. And you were still kind of starstruck in a way. I don't know. There's something about like the reverence to him, even though he rejected us from the restaurant. You said, "I've never seen him smile
The
before."
greatest thing about Nozawa is you would wait in line, and then the meal could be upwards of 12 minutes, and you'd be gone.
The meal could be upwards of 12 minutes. It could be shorter if you were to request a California roll or
I never saw him
demand.
throw someone
Oh,
out.
I've seen it many times. I mean, because I became obsessed with the place. The rejection made me even more
Right.
obsessed with it. And being seen by Nozawa,
Incredible.
recognized, was like the most incredible feeling. And so that's literally why I ended up making Jiro Dreams
I
of
remember
Sushi.
it, and I don't remember who first took me, but it's interesting because sushi was a huge part of my relationship with my father. He introduced me to it, and we would go together. When we lived in the Valley, I grew up in the Valley, and we would go to a couple of places on Ventura Boulevard, and it was like a ratatouille kind of moment for me. And then we would do that, and then we would go get cheese plates at Jones on Third, when Jones on Third was like the place to get a cheese plate, and it was like this incredible kind of aha moment for me that I've like still chase whenever I go and find a restaurant somewhere. But I remember a level of like, it was an incredible time to be in film school because the movies that were out were so good. It was the time of Paramount Vantage, and so they were making like No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood, and
Yes.
and I remember when the Garden State trailer came out and everyone had the Frou Frou song Let Go in their student film the next Sunday.
Yes.
And I remember Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind had just come out, and it was like a magical time to be like full of wonderment and like piss and vinegar. And you and I would like go to these. It's like an idealism that you chase for the rest of your life. I think you still have wonderment, which is one of the things I love about you and why you've always reminded me of Steven Spielberg. But we would just like sit in these restaurants and like talk about things and like what we were going to make and how we were going to do it. And we would eat this food and the bill would come and we would gasp. And
We'd gasp and
oftentimes
like-
your credit card was denied.
Yes, there was a moment, but the wonderment, the ambition was just like, it was limitless because when you were in film school, like you could say it's anything.
And you hadn't
can
failed
happen.
yet. You hadn't been destroyed by the New York Times yet. So it
No,
was
of
like,
course not. No.
you-
Which is my family newspaper, of course. My
Yes.
grandfather being the managing editor of the New York Times and the only rotten review on Jiro Dreams of Sushi, which I'll never forget.
I'll remember the first bad review I got from the New York Times was for my first movie. I was the first one to make a movie, and I was like very much thinking I was Mike Nichols and that the trajectory would just be like this.
The first one out of our group from
I
film
wore a
school.
suit every day because Wes Anderson wore a suit, and it was autobiographical, and I was in love and all this. And I remember, I remember everyone saying like, "Get ready, your life's gonna change," and I was like, I know, it's fine.
It was the moment to join the
I got a
pantheon.
review, and the headline was a callow movie by callow people, and I remember not knowing what the word callow meant, which was first mistake.
rushing to Google.
Yeah, and I remember I was on an airplane, and my email, you didn't have internet. On
Wait,
the
you
fucking
didn't rush
planes,
to
and
Google, so you didn't know what callow meant for some
I had
time.
no idea what callow meant.
And you didn't.
I rushed to Google to find out what callow meant.
And what does it mean for the viewers?
Not good. It's not good. Hollow, I think, kind of like pointless. Yeah, that was the beginning of a new version of me.
Yeah. I mean, first movie, not only insulting the film, but insulting you as a person.
Very much so, yeah. It's personal.
That's
Yeah.
something.
Made me think that maybe the teachers at SC had a point.
Growing up in Hollywood, what are some of the other restaurants and meals that you would get taken to? What are the memorable ones?
Well, I remember my dad invested in the one Wolfgang Puck restaurant that didn't work. It was called Eureka. It was sort of part of my death of a salesman origin story.
It was a brew house. It was a beer
Yes, it was a
project
kind
as
of, I
well,
feel like
a
it was like
brewery and a
near the
restaurant.
airport or something. It was really strange. There was like cut out like tin animals all over. It's a shame and a complete surprise to me that it didn't work. Other Hollywood restaurants, La Scala was very big. There used to be a place called La Scala Presto in the Valley where you would get the chopped salad and fried mozzarella. There was Matsuhisa was really where I learned about sushi and like kind of fell in love with it, which is Nobu's first restaurant on La Cienega. Um, and is an incredible restaurant. Spago was always incredible. Um, Spago, especially when it was, on where, near where the Tower Records used to be
Yes,
on Sunset Boulevard
the
was
original Sunset
incredible.
location. That's right. It's very OG.
I don't remember any other ones.
Did you ever go to Granita? His
Granita, yeah, in
Granita
Malibu, yeah.
in Malibu. That was
Yeah.
Wolfgang Puck's like massive restaurant. And I
Yes.
went there once. Max, you went to the school Crossroads, a
Yes.
school known for art and special children and special parents.
Mhm.
It gives a little Big Little Lies. Has that been referred to as that
No,
the
but
basis for that or anything like
no,
that?
but I'm sure it does.
What was cafeteria like at the most exclusive private school in Hollywood?
Best thing you could get there was a hash brown bagel sandwich in an area called Cadena where the college counselors were. That was the best tasting thing. The food
I'm
wasn't
sorry.
great.
There's an area called Cadena. Like, what is that?
It's called
Who
Cadena. I don't
refers
know
to a
why.
part of a school as an area called Cadena?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just all I know, so it's how I'm talking about it. But like there was an area called Cadena, and they would sell a bagel and hash brown sandwich that you would put ketchup on that tasted good. But the food wasn't great. Once you became an 11th grader, you were able to leave campus and go get lunch. There was a Bergamot Station, which was an art gallery, which had a great salad. There was Good Stuff Burger that was kind of like ahead of its time, kind of healthy burger place. Um, I don't remember where else we would go
What
really.
about Apple Pan?
That was great, but too far of a drive. But Apple Pan, my mom used to go to when she was a little girl. So my mom took me to Apple Pan, and we would get hickory burgers or steak burgers with hickory sauce on the side.
And going back to kind of OG Hollywood sushi lore, Nozawa was inspired by Apple Pan.
That makes so much sense because the simplicity of it, and the
Simplicity,
limited menu.
turnover,
There was
etc.
nothing like it
Fast
though. Like I
turnover.
remember by the time you'd get to Nozawa, you'd sit down, it'd be 7 minutes later, you'd be on your last course and it would be the Toro hand roll or the blue crab hand roll. And there was like, I really feel like Los Angeles sushi is defined by two restaurants, Matsuhisa and Nozawa. And every version of every sushi restaurant is influenced by one of those two. And there weren't a lot of omakase Nozawas in Nozawa's time. That was where you went for it. And
That's right.
by the time it was like really where like the blue crab hand roll became like one of the stars of the city.
Right.
And basically the idea that you would get like a very crispy, perfect seaweed hand roll with blue crab in it or toro just didn't exist. And to my knowledge, from growing up in LA and then going to college here. And the what Nobu did with taking South American sauces and feelings and teraditu and new style and all that stuff was one version of it. The hamasakus, all of those kind of
And
nice
the katsuyas
versions,
and things,
the kois,
the
etc.
fusion,
Yes.
the sushi fusion
And
was Nobu.
and then the influx of very minimal, non-designed omakase restaurants were completely from Nozawa. And I still don't think I've ever had something that tasted the way Nozawa did. There was like a simplicity to it and a style of the fish and the rice, obviously, that made it just. I feel like that was like such seminal, like kind of Madeline cookie vibes for you and I.
Absolutely. Yes, the kind of loose, sweet rice, and the legacy of that is at Sugarfish, but of course it's never the same. The difference of Sugarfish and Nozawa original is just being in the aura of Nozawa and
Seeing him make it.
seeing him and the somewhat the fear, and we're talking about the fawn response,
Yes.
needing him to like us
Yeah.
was so important. And you've really never seen anyone get kicked out of the restaurant.
I could have. Part of my trauma could have been that I've blacked it out.
I mean, we all just keep our heads down, sort of like people
just like everyone, just like the
being
loser,
removed.
just the loser record executives and like producers that would sit there and be like, Nozawa-san, like she's never had Toro before, like just on their
Oh my
first or
God,
second
yeah.
dates, like just like my worst fear is that guy at the sushi bar.
There's
just
a
like Nozawa-san, like Tiffany never had. Yeah, just wait, just trust me. Right? And just like it's just like it was very close to Universal, so there was just like something amazing about it. I gotta say, Sugarfish, I haven't had it in a long time, but it really has been wonderfully consistent.
Yes, and that was the goal, was to commoditize that, I think.
And I hope
and
he's
they did it.
extremely rich
No, I
from
think
it.
I think they're doing well. I think they're
And I
doing
hope
well.
his wife can finally rest.
Yeah.
She was on her feet all the time.
Yeah, on her feet, and at the times when people were being kicked out of the restaurant, which
She
I
often
remember.
had to be the murder
So clearly,
weapon.
well, yeah, essentially, she would run around and collect the credit cards.
Yes.
Without fail. You would be kicked out, but you would still pay. Also, that instance what you're talking about the kind of the douchey guy who's like such good pals with the chef, like, oh my God, like, that role named after me, or like
He
whatever.
exists everywhere, though. Every
there's a
sushi bar,
scene-
there's an executive somewhere who worked at Paramount once who was taking a first date and calling the chef's name with san after and expressing how they've never had uni before and how
Yeah.
it'll make them believe in God.
Yeah, and that they're part of the team, kind
Yeah.
of. There's actually I haven't watched, I don't watch the show Billions, but I've been sent a clip from Billions many times. What happens in the scene
Right.
is that the guy who thinks that he knows
Gets
and is
schooled.
like, no, gets just destroyed by a true sushi lover.
Right.
And it's the most satisfying thing. Best Nozawa kickout story. 2 people at the sushi bar.
Mhm.
I'm sitting at the sushi bar. Table of 6. Table of 6 comes in. They know the people at the sushi bar. The two, and they're like, hey, what's up? Da 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 da. A few minutes passes. Nozawa looks up. He goes, who are you? To one of the people in the couple at the sushi bar. Apparently, they had switched seats.
Oh, God.
Somebody from the 6 top
They were
had
asking
switched
for it.
to the thing. And he goes, oh, no, we're just chatting. And she goes, no changing, no
Yeah.
changing.
I understand.
Everybody kicked out. His wife runs around with the credit cards thing, just grabs all the credit cards, and is just like scan, all kicked out.
I would never hit him up with a surprise move. He
switch
really's got
at the
a
seat.
beautiful mind type
I
situation.
later interviewed him in preparation for what would become Jiro Dreams of Sushi, and I asked him, why do you kick people out of the restaurant? And he says, I close at 11. I'm up at 4 a.m. Very tired.
Yeah, I understand.
Energy comes from the customer. So phone, eat
Right.
sushi, phone,
Right.
get out and never come back here. His wife would say, she would say when people would get kicked out, try again in a month. He may not remember.
What an incredible person.
And you took me there, and we were kicked out on the first day. And I think we got in
We
and
weren't
out.
kicked out. We just weren't invited.
We were not admitted, but we got in and out instead. And I remember I remember now because I was on the hunt for a free sushi meal. Partially, you were rewarding me for helping edit one of your student films, if
Yes.
you recall, for a thesis program that we were rejected from, both of us.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yeah, of course.
And Armin, our friend, is now out with Napa Boys in
Yes.
theaters. Right
Yes.
at this moment, I believe.
I don't know if it's still
still in
I don't know
theaters?
if it had a 9-week theatrical run.
Noting.
When we made our first short film, I really believed that our short film would be the first one really released theatrically. When we made King of Central Park, we should say this, that our benevolent, idealistic insanity and belief in ourselves after we were rejected for thesis films made us take a play that we had co-written in playwriting, even though co-writing wasn't allowed, turned it into a 37-page screenplay for a short film, got the Panavision grant that we had heard Napoleon Dynamite got by the help of an incredible man named Tom Sherrick, who I still think about to this day and talk about often, used all of the money from the grant to ship everything rented from Panavision LA to New York.
Because we had to shoot on film.
We were then broke. Yeah, we had to shoot on film because it was going to be in theaters and because Harold Ahmad was shown on film for obvious reasons because digital wasn't available. Made a film in Central Park of which we didn't have permits. We both cried at separate periods. We put my father in compromising positions. It started Jeffrey Tambor, my dad, who we brought onto the slick rock of Belvedere Castle while a murderer was running around in Central Park. We were filming some scene of my dad. The scene was written like Dr. Bloor was the name of my orthodontist, who he turned into the childhood therapist. It's actually, I really stand by this short film. Gives a speech about how his wife left him. And my dad goes for the Webby Award and starts sobbing on the slick rock of Belvedere Castle. He was carried like a pharaoh onto this part with Armin Weitzman, and sirens are going off, and Gelb and I are screaming, trying to control the sirens.
Yeah, we were so annoyed because the cops were on a manhunt for somebody had been stabbed earlier.
We were like, "What's the problem?" The NYU producer, who hated us, was like, "There's a killer on the loose," and we were just like, "Everybody, let's go." But I remember my dad cried. He gave that take where he cried, and then we figured out that the camera hadn't turned on.
Yeah, there was one. Yeah, because the thing about film is that we didn't really know how to use it,
Right,
you know,
all.
and our this is a camera that had never been touched by our
Right.
cinematographers. God bless them.
was
Shout out Will
Ektachrome,
Basanta and Clay Jitter. Yes, it was
It was a
Ektachrome.
mixture of Ektachrome
Yeah,
and
we had to
Eterna.
do. Yeah, it was it was a reversed processing. Because we would do anything to hide behind the technology of
Right.
it. Because
I
it was part
remember
of
that
our-
was
our
a
brilliant.
truly no coverage.
No, that's what I was going to add. That scene had no coverage
Yeah.
because we were so sure of the writing that we would never need to edit.
To cut away from the seven
From a
7-page monologue that
7-page
Henry Winkler
monologue.
gives on a short film with one boom.
And just knowing that you're never going to need to cut. So here's a few pieces of advice. It does not matter what format you shoot the thing on.
I would get one piece of coverage to cut away from, even if it's an insect. You could do
literally,
Terrence
even if
Malick
you're
thing.
so sure of your oneer,
Get the hands.
just you got to have something. You need a way out because what the reality on set, when you're so sure you're a genius on set, even when you're watching your dailies, you think it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
When you're watching your assembly and you are searching for razor blades because you are just
You
like,
want to die.
what?
Yeah.
I am the worst person. It goes from, what is it? Shooting and dailies, you're a genius.
Genius.
Assembly, you are the
Should
worst.
never work
you should
again.
never have
And
been,
then the
should never
final
have been born.
final product is somewhere in between.
Exactly right.
If you're
Exactly
lucky.
Right. Yeah.
But always just one piece
That's
of
why you
coverage.
need
It could be like
coverage. Shoot
David's
coverage.
hands right now with the pen tells us something. He's the guy who's working. There's always something. This chef's table mug you could get just like this.
It could be
nervous
a clue.
energy.
Yeah, you get like
There's
a clue. Usually
even
how
a
they're
clue
holding
that's not
something.
intentional.
Mm.
But the coverage was so outrageous on that movie. I remember there was a shot with
You mean the lack of coverage was so
Yes.
outrageous?
But there was a
Coverage-
coverage we did with a dolly and a zoom, then a zoom out in the racquetball scene.
Oh yes.
I've actually never seen it done, to be fair.
Yeah,
Like,
because it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's completely disorienting.
Yes.
But the idea, yeah, because we were going somewhere. Wes Anderson-y, who was borrowing Harold and Maude. So we were drawing from both
yeah.
the original
You
thing
only
and
need
then the
one of those. Is
postmodernism.
what we didn't know. You need
Correct.
Wes Anderson and Harold Maude should be one, and then you should take something else.
Yeah.
Just so you can
Yeah.
take the sniff
Yeah,
away.
and
a
then the
little
lack of coverage, a lot of that was coming from a film called Kikujiro by
That was very
Beat
important.
Takeshi.
Yeah.
That I found out later was both a critical and commercial flop in Japan.
bit. Right.
Which I wish I had known.
Right. Me too.
But the music, yeah. So coverage is important, and this has turned into a film pod now. And in your current work, we use
Coverage.
it, and
I use it.
I remember being on set with you one time when there was another director working, and I felt the urge to alert you that
There was no
the
coverage.
person was not.
A little bit of coverage
doing
is always good. I've lost.
You need to.
so-
You need to have. You just gotta have humility. Shooting with coverage it's humility,
And
right?
the truth of the matter is no matter what, everybody else on set wants to go home. No matter what. So like the key grip is always going to tell you
You got
we
it.
got it.
We got it in
and
one.
the desire to be liked by the key grip is so strong in me because I've worked with incredible ones, Ray Garcia, if you're listening, that I'll always then be like, we got it, let's go. And then I'll be in bed that night and be like, why do you care so much about what other people think? Like, just get the shot, get the cutaway of the shoelaces, just in case.
This is a very important lesson as well, and I think that it is what distinguishes great filmmakers, which we hope to become or are working towards.
Right.
The and also great chefs as well, is a stubborn commitment to going for the thing, even if it pisses people off and it pisses off the crew members and stuff. Like, I remember that one of the most popular scenes of Jiro Dreams of Sushi is the massaging of the octopus, because how annoying is it to be that apprentice that's just got to
Right.
knock this octopus? Like, it was the wasabi doing the tamago 200 times. Shout out Nakazawa. It's like the courage to be disliked in a moment because you're following the thing and the stubbornness of it.
It's incredible.
All of the mistakes that I've made in movies, a lot of it has to do with needing to be liked, needing to incorporate every note, needing the actors to
Yeah.
love everything that you're doing, needing the producers to love everything you're doing, needing the below the line crew to think you're cool, wrapping ahead of schedule, and you just feel like such a star, and then you're in the editing room and you're
I
like,
know.
oh, whoops.
The best advice I ever heard, and it was from a director who I truly don't rate, was that the hardest thing to do is to pick up the dolly track when it's wrong. You know, you lay this dolly track and you make sure it's totally even and you measure it and everybody's on their fucking hands and knees making this work, and you do the shot and you're like, this is shit. And to actually have the courage to just be like, guys, I made a mistake. Like, I'm so sorry, but like, this is not
Yeah.
right. And to pick up the dolly track to do something else
Mhm.
is a really good exercise in life, to just like apologize and do it the right way.
and not to submit to the sunken cost and just staying the course that you know is wrong, even when you learn it. Because, like, you could spend a lot of time putting that dolly down.
Right.
There's also an overcorrection there, which happened on my Stan Lee documentary, and when I was doing the middle miniatures and things, and I reset the dolly 3 times, and the key grip promptly packed up his bag and walked off the set.
Right.
At which point I chased him into the parking lot, begging for forgiveness and fawning and saying, I'll do a demo with my phone every single shot, and they'll never ever
Right.
do that again. So it goes back and forth. But yes, the answer is yes.
To what?
Do something that is annoying in the service of the
Yes.
greater thing. And so, how are you feeling in general, like with needing to be liked?
Better, honestly. Like, the more I do it, the more I am able to like just kind of have the right sized perspective of all of it, and to know like my job is to tell the best version of the story possible. And that it's okay if people are upset with me or mad at me or think I'm, you know what I mean? Like, it's like someone said this thing like, say what you mean, but don't say it meanly. Like that, like, you can just be direct and not be a dick, and like also just ask for what you want. And you can also work with people who you truly admire and love and trust them. I really try to work with every single person I work with who's significantly smarter and better at what they do than I am, so we can figure it out together. And the more work you can do with people you know and have a long working relationship with, it makes the process for me so much easier, because we're all already kind of on a wavelength of knowing what we like and how we like to work and stuff like that.
Love story.
Yes.
What made that work so well?
It was a mixture of really good writing, really good characters, really good casting that we were unsettling over. Shooting in New York City. New York is a character in the piece.
The great
I was just
Ryan
kidding.
Murphy.
Ryan Murphy is always great and protective, and a real producer and kind of a creative visionary who, like, we were shooting it a certain way for the first couple of days, and something about it wasn't feeling right, and we shut down and shot it the right way.
And
And
you picked up the dolly track.
yeah, literally picked up everything.
Any food anecdotes?
The best part about shooting in New York is postmating everywhere you are and being in such close proximity to great restaurants. The thing I'd really fallen in love with on that show was Pliables, which is kind of a coconut-based bowl that's only in New York City with various things. And you can put granola and honey in it. And it's like different from an acai bowl. I'm sure they have it there. But that was my great reveal there. For me, food is and proximity to pizza. There's a pizza place right next to our stage called Chrissy's that was really, really good. Finally tried Series on this last trip when I was there editing last week. Food is like a very big part of my making movies and television process, like where we are, what's for lunch, what we're going to order. Being able to be in New York City and shoot, uptown in the Bronx and having access to like Arthur Avenue Deli and places like that, or being in Brooklyn and being close to great pizza, great Chinese food, obviously everywhere. Like that's what makes New York City and LA so nice, like for when we were filming this last thing I just did about Lizzie Borden, we would get Langer's brought in all the time. We would get Sonora Town brought in all the time, Larchmont One and Cheese. We just filmed in Rome, which was really the best version of that. Yeah, I really tried to do that and get food for everybody because I think it makes a huge difference.
I think that a great thing to do as a director, at least one of the days, is to just like order in some amazing lunch for the crew.
I do that a lot, not
Yeah.
just because I think it just like it makes the vibe great,
It
and
is.
it really is fun.
Yeah, and it helps with when the dolly does need to be
Yes.
reset, or if the camera was not rolling.
Yes, absolutely.
On the set of Love Story,
Yeah.
what was your requirements for craft services?
Lots of sparkling water, a pliable to start the day, the coconut base, not the acai. Usually some kind of pizza around lunchtime, or a Court Street deli clean turkey sandwich on gluten-free bread. And I'm trying to think what I would have for the dinner, and then some kind of an Asian type of situation for dinner, either Red Farm or Sushi Seki or something like that. All of that delivered.
Any food in the show Love Story?
No food. I mean, like, whenever they were at his house, it was always kind of waspy food at Jackie's and in the Hyannisport compound. A lot of the Tribeca restaurants they would go to still stand. And I lived in Tribeca for a year, and I really, really love Tribeca. There's a restaurant. I will tell you the most important restaurant. And I just saw Steven Spielberg getting a coffee to go there, which was very cool on the internet. Someone sent me. There's a restaurant called Benvenuto. It's open 24 hours a day. Did you ever go there with me in New York?
Mm.
It's a bodega, basically. It's a deli. It's open 24 hours a day. You could get anything you want there. The guy who runs it is named Antonio. He has an incredible bit with a banana phone whenever he sees my daughter. My daughter still thinks about him and talks about him. We FaceTime him often. It's my favorite iced coffee in the world. I don't know why. It's gigantic and it's perfect. I just like it basically to be like flavored water. I like it very, very not fancy.
Yes. That's my recollection of you on set on American Horror Stories was that you would have an iced coffee where the ice was completely melted.
Yes,
and
I
you
like
would
that.
Gleefully drink that.
That was from Benvenuto. It's a mixture between an iced coffee from Benvenuto and it used to be Celsius and now it's Alani.
I had that too. Yeah.
Celsius?
Well, no, Celsius.
I brought you an iced coffee from Benvenuto often.
Yes, no, I recall
Yeah.
that now. I didn't realize that was Spielberg's coffee, which is helpful.
Incredible.
Which we need.
I saw, yeah, and you could get a great, very simple breakfast wrap from there, which just the proportions are perfect. You could get buffalo chicken tenders there, perfect. And it really was like, as somebody who grew up in LA and didn't have a neighborhood spot, like you really like would go and you would talk to Antonio and he would give your daughter a free banana. And it was just like this sense of community that like you experience whatever the opposite of that is here. You experience that everywhere you go.
Do you cook?
I do, yeah. I learned to cook only recently, and I've put my attention on very specific things that I try to do over and over and over and perfect, and then move on.
That's great.
Yeah.
That sounds like a certain
Uh,
protagonist
brand
a
of
documentary
autism.
that I know. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I thought very Jiro like.
No, it's very not
autistic.
Jiro. It's I've done it. I've really worked on a vinaigrette, which I'm very proud of. A high heat steak where I build a crust, which I'm very proud of. I believe I've made one for you. I got very good at that one. That was the first thing I really learned.
Henry Winkler's favorite meals.
My dad loves to dip. He loves to sop. He loves bread in broth. He loves like just dipping his bread into whatever he can dip it into. He loves cheese. He loves going to the Beverly Hills cheese store and getting like weird, crazy experimental cheese from Norbert. He loves Matsuhisa. I think it's his favorite restaurant in the world. He loves heavy French food. He has a very complicated palate to pin down. We can both have the same thing and have very different experiences. He thinks everything is spicy. He can have ketchup and his nose starts to run and he's complaining that it's too spicy, whereas I really like spicy things. We had great Indian food. He really introduced me to food, and us eating together was such a huge part of um, my education in it. My mom loves food but doesn't love leaving the house, so we would have great food brought in. But when it came to leaving the house, my dad was the one I went to for that.
Your wife, Jessica Bardem, friend of the pod,
Yes.
she comes from literally the opposite kind of food upbringing.
Yes.
How do you reconcile that?
Um, we teach each other. One of my favorite things to do in the morning on a Saturday morning when the soccer team that we both love plays is to make an English breakfast with her and have people over. And we have HP sauce and we have Heinz beans, and she really loves like comfort food, like beans on toast, like Heinz beans on toast, like tomato soup from like a Heinz cup. Like the north of England. Fish and chips she loves. There's a place where Jess is from in Leeds called the Weatherby Whaler that is like probably the best fish and chips I've ever had. Um, but she's a really adventurous eater, and we love traveling and trying things. And she's like she's such an enthusiastic eater. She's enthusiastic about everything except me. She loves trying things. She gets so excited when she sees something that's good, like someone good at their job. It's really inspiring for me.
So your wife was in the Dune show. It was shooting
Yes.
in Budapest. Did that give you some trepidation about moving out there for the
Yeah, it's
duration of
always
shooting?
scary part of our job, obviously, for like neurotic people to have to like walk into an apartment or a hotel room alone. It's better when you're with your family, but so often I have to go alone, and it makes me, as somebody who runs, anxious and depressed, very, very scared
It was
and
it was nice of you
isolated.
to go. What was the food situation like in Budapest?
The food is good, actually. Cafe Core was probably my favorite. There's a lot of Israeli food. I think the Hungarian food's really good. You can just get like kind of really good chicken pretty much everywhere. There's like a really good kind of like goose liver thing that you can get on toast. I forgot what that's called. Um, there's a there's an amazing restaurant called Rosenstein that was really good. That was like Jewish food. The Jewish ghetto is really amazing there. And Jess was shooting. I was just a dad there, and so we would what by the time Jess would come home, you can get Nobu there for like $35. So we would just Postmate, or their Postmates is called Volt with a W, and so we would just Volt Nobu every night, which was genuinely good.
That's great.
Yeah,
Word up to Nobu and the consistency across the
incredible.
thing. Wolfgang also has a Spago, I believe, in
I had
Budapest.
Thanksgiving dinner alone at that Spago. My kids were asleep and Jess was shooting, and it was honestly a really nice Thanksgiving. The Spago was incredible there.
Do you enjoy eating alone at nice restaurants?
No, not particularly, but I don't mind it like I
Oh,
used to. It used to be hard for me, and now I'm in better shape.
what is it? I think that because we are kindred spirits in a certain
Very
way,
much so.
I feel that. Can we do beyond eating really well to fill the emptiness in our hearts?
Besides eating well, I find actually being present and being around my kids very helpful.
That's exactly the correct answer, I think. And it's
It's the only thing I found that
being
really
present and
works.
being around the kids, getting on the floor with them and playing with them and like joining them on their level in their world is incredibly important. Before we were having kids and kind of like knowing ourselves well enough to be able to do that,
Yes.
what was it about the eating that was so important and comforting to us, do you think? Like, what
I don't
is
know.
it?
It's so there's this crazy OCD part of me that like if there was two pizza restaurants and there was a really long line for the number one pizza restaurant in New York City and a no line for the second best pizza in New York City, and they were right on the same corner or on opposite corners, I would have to wait in the line. I don't know what it is. Like I
You,
want to try it. I want to see like whenever you're alone in a city and you're working, like figuring out where you can eat and going and finding that out. It's like the best way to understand the city, to try things. It's why I loved Bourdain so much.
It's part of also gives like a purpose as to why we're there, like but why is it that you need to have the best of the food?
I
I've
don't
always found that,
know.
like, because you were always like the new restaurant we need to go to that
I
the
don't
best
know. I'm
place.
interested in it. I love the act of eating with people I love and going and trying things and um just like seeing I remember there was that restaurant in Lincoln Center that's still incredible, Tatiana. We could not get in. I couldn't figure out a way to get in. You got us in. And I went there and it was just like it was the best version of that food I'd ever had, and it blew my mind. I still think about it. And like there's a certain restaurant in Sydney. Jess was filming in Sydney. I was alone in Sydney. I was so depressed. We didn't know if we were going to have our first kid or not. And I walked into this restaurant called Sean's Panorama, and it was on Bondi Beach. And I had like the greatest lunch of my life. And then that night, Jess and I were so scared. She wrapped work, and I went to St. Peter, and I met your friend who runs St. Peter, Josh Nyland, incredible genius. And we sat there. He had no idea we were going through this hard time, and he made us like French fries made out of fucking fish eyes or whatever the fuck he does. And it blew my mind. And it was just like, I'll never forget that meal with Jess. And then that same trip, we found out we were going to have Frankie and that she was fine. And we had a celebratory dinner with me and Jess and my friend Charlie. And like, that's what I remember about Sydney is those meals. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. It's the experiences of the eating of it and the memories of it. Like for me, I will spend any amount of money on food.
me
I
too.
literally do not care.
It's
And I never,
it's a non thing for me.
I remember my cards I did not have like enough allowance. I would spend, in college, I would spend the entire thing on like one jinpachi,
Yeah.
omakase, and then I would, eat ramen for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
And the car would be declined and you would pay for it. And
Yes, I remember that.
Yes, it was still worth it. Thank you. But it's like, there's something about just food and experience that is the most precious thing.
I think about our relationship, your and I's relationship based on the movies we've seen and where we've eaten. You know what I mean? Like I can think of all of that. I can think of us with no money at Shabu Shabu, waiting in line, the taste of that first time you dipped that fucking meat into the sauce with the rice and the vegetables and fucking the little skimmer.
And the country music playing and stuff.
So
and that
strange.
Little
And no
Tokyo.
longer open, but
The
like,
Shabu Shabu house.
oh my God. And then the sushi things, and then just all of the meals. Like that great what was the Japanese steakhouse we had in New York when we were both there after we saw Maestro?
Oh, I know what you're talking
It
about.
wasn't
It was a
yakitori.
yakiniku
Yeah.
place. It was a very fancy yakiniku
Yeah.
place. Yeah, like a Wagyu specialty restaurant.
Yeah.
And I remember, just sitting there
And
shooting the
it's just
shit.
like
Yeah, loved it.
that's what I remember. And I have that with a lot of people who also find food as comforting, as important.
Mhm.
Um,
You're part of a very big WhatsApp chain started by Jamie Patrick.
yes.
Mover and shaker, political commentary
truly
person.
helpful about food
Yeah.
stuff.
This is a WhatsApp that I will occasionally open, and it will take me 5 minutes to scroll to the bottom of it because there are maybe 300 people on it. You could ask one question on that thing, and you would get maybe 1,000 recommendations.
I find it truly helpful, and I'm like continuously shocked by like people being nice and like earnest and like wanting to help, and you can just you can say I'm in this city for 36 hours. What are 3 things I should have or whatever it is? And Jamie is super helpful and kind.
Food recommendation
He
is a
introduced me
place
to
where people
Jamie
come
Patrick
together.
introduced me to the San Gabriel Valley. I'd grown up in LA and I'd never known about all the different kinds of Chinese food and dumplings you could get in the San Gabriel
Oh,
Valley.
and I remember that because we were going there every weekend with Matt
Yeah.
Spicer as well, another USC film
Pal, yeah.
class pal director, and having insanely spicy food.
Yeah, you could get Szechuan food. You could get food from Chengdu. You could get every kind of dumpling. Like Jamie Patrick is a true. He knows so much about Chinese food, and is a very, very
Yeah,
helpful
he walked that
resource.
Jonathan Gold path and has
Genuinely.
kind of carried the torch for those who follow his newsletter. What is the reason that we toil through this mortal coil?
Is that like your thing that you end every episode with?
That's the bit I'm doing at this moment.
What is the reason?
What's up?
I think to help people.
What about your reason?
That's what I was talking about.
Oh, okay, great. To help.
No, mine is to be helped. I think like we do it to have like connection. I think the opposite of connection is isolation.
To do what?
Everything. It's just to like connect. Just energy and
Exactly.
like some Tom Cruise shit.
That's why we're
some
here,
Interstellar stuff.
because where do we connect more than over a good meal? I think that is something that
And to give our kids a better experience than we have.
to shield the kids from
what we
our
have to
own
try and break
trauma,
the chain of
break the chain
intergenerational
and
trauma. It's really hard to be a human being, and like we try the best we can,
we do.
except for those who don't.
Give me just tell me about the food that is kind of the metaphor for your life and journey and your past, present, and future desire.
I love the simplicity of the cheeseburger at Peter Luger's. To me, it's like I feel like when I eat that, I'm transplanted into like Franny and Zooey or something like that. I'm like, I don't know why. Like the presence of the raw onion and the meat and the bun and the simple cheese, like there's something about that cheeseburger. I love cheeseburgers. I think they're so wonderful to eat, even though I have high cholesterol. And that cheeseburger for me is like a kind of a Proust
Right.
experience
And also because of the dry aging, a simple thing that has developed,
over time.
over that period of aging and the flavor developing and stuff, and you don't want to overlook that.
No.
and miss it.
Experience.
But you don't need to know it. You don't need to know about it, which you clearly don't.
No,
to enjoy
William
it.
Blake wrote 2 seminal books on poetry, Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. And if you think about Songs of Experience, of how that can kind of be related to the dry aging process, you're having a bite of something, but what you're actually eating is time. And the time that goes into something. And when you're eating time, you're eating the experience of everybody who made that patty, that burger, and their ancestors.